Yo, what's poppin' everyone? We are here today for week 11 of the World Battle Entertainment. Prepare to be entertained, and as you can see, we're taking on my boy Galactic Elliot, coach of the Chicago Cubchus. The team that he brought is pretty interesting. He brought Scolipede, Chandelure, Girder, Mantine, Rotom Fan, and Garchomp. And his Garchomp is of course his mega Pokemon. And so I guess overall looking at his team, I was a little surprised that he brought Girder because I have stuff on my roster like Azu, Togekiss, and Victini and stuff, but he opted to bring that. I think he also did have like a little Ninetales, which I expected, but he didn't bring. I'll take that for sure because I kind of know what Girder runs. It's like a Violite with probably Bulk Up or something. His only potential rocker is going to be the Mega Garchomp, if he does decide to bring rocks, that is. Otherwise, it could be an offensive set that we got to watch out for. Mantine and Rotom Fan are his potential defoggers for the squad. It's probably going to be Mantine. Rotom is probably going to have some Wisp, Pain Split, or some kind of set that can run sort of as a bulky pivot. And Chandelure I think is going to be Choice Scarf. It seems pretty straightforward. I think the only thing that I kind of have to worry about is the Scolipede set, because it could either be a Hazard lead or it could be a Swords Dance set of some sort, or some kind of like Sash Swords Dance set or something. I don't want to I don't really want to take it for granted, because Scolipede's a dangerous mon. It's definitely scary to face in Draft League, because you don't really know what it can do, especially in Open Z format. So that's a mon that I got to be careful of. If we can get rid of that early on, that would be great. My squad here consists of Mega Sceptile, which I brought. It's just an offensive set, nothing too extraordinary, but I think it can do the job well versus his team. Scarf Ditto, which is great because it allows me to copy potentially Scolipede to reverse sweep it if he does try to set up an SD, or like Mega Garchomp, more of his offensive mons it can copy and threaten. So Scarf Ditto is great in that regard. Victini, which is going to be E-Belt, pretty similar set to last week, but I'm running a little bit more special attack so that we can hit things harder with, on the special side, I guess. Then I have Azu, which is AV to sponge hits from Chandelure in particular. Drapion, which is a pretty great mon to also sort of deal with Chandelure's stab moves, like with Azu and Drapion together, resisting fire and ghost respectively. One can take the other kind of move in that scenario. And finally, Rotom for defogging purposes for the team, which is great because he could have potential spikes, T-spikes, and rocks. So having a defogger is going to be nice for the squad. And I guess sort of my overall game plan going into this match was to try to eliminate that Scolipede. If we can, try to eliminate the Chandelure as well. His team becomes way less threatening if we can do that. And, the rest of our mons can kind of pick things apart piece by piece. His walls are not that great versus my my hard-hitting coverage moves, like from Victini or from Azu and stuff like that. So if we can kind of get ourselves in a good position in that scenario or in that regard, that'll be great. And I figured I'd just lead with my Mega Sceptile because it's fast. It can sort of check a lot of things on his team and just threaten things in general because of its coverage. I figured he might just lead with like Rotom or Garchomp or something, or if it is a lead Scolipede, it could probably be Hazards or some kind of Swords Dance set, so we gotta watch out for that. But let's just get right into it and see how this game goes. And let's find out what went down in this match. As you can see, he decides to challenge me, and of course this may or may not be his first mistake. You already know. You already know. He leads Scolipede though, and I lead with Mega Sceptile, so I'm like, okay, if this thing is like a Sash SD set, I don't want this thing getting up a Swords Dance for free, right? And I put myself in a great position by just weakening Scolipede because that's one of his big win cons, I feel, or one of his more threatening mons that he brought. So I just go right for the Dragon Pulse here. It does a great chunk of damage. As you can see, he goes for the Poison Jab. He knocks me out here, and even though I lost Mega Sceptile turn 1, I feel like I'm in a really good position because Scolipede's weakened, and that's great. I don't want to mess with Scolipede at all because that thing is a huge threat. So I go into Azu here to force it out. I just go for the safe Aqua Jet because I figured, why not? If he over predicts and stays into Poison Jabs, he gets knocked out. And he goes Rotom, so he takes a little bit of chip damage from that Aqua Jet, which is always nice. I'm going to save my Azu though. And Scolipede's in a position where it's just weak. It's too weak to really do anything. It's too weak to set up. It's too weak to be a bigger threat than it would have been if it was at, I guess, a greater amount of health. So he goes to the Volt Switch as I go into Rotom into his Girder. So Girder, I figured, would probably be bulky and has guts, so I can't really go for a Whisper or anything. So I'm going to Volt Switch out, predicting a knockoff here. I'm going to go into my Drapion because I don't really mind Drapion's item getting knocked off. It is going to be one of the 50% berries. So I don't really mind that too much just because I don't want anything else getting knocked off, especially my Azu, which is really my main way of checking Chandelure. So he actually switches out of Girder into his Rotom as I go for the knockoff, and I get some pretty decent damage off, get rid of his leftovers, his item, then go right for an Ice Fang. It does not knock him out, but it's going to be putting him in a range where it's going to be weakened. And now Scolipede and Rotom are both severely weakened enough for like Azu's Aqua Jet, for example, so that's really great. And so he Volt Switches out into his Scolipede. I don't want to take an Earthquake with Drapion, so I switch out here into my Rotom. And I do have Levitate, of course, so the Earthquake will not be doing anything. He does get a speed boost though, and he actually packs a really cool move in Throat Chop in order for him to have coverage to hit Rotom. It was his only way of having coverage to hit Rotom, but I did EV my Rotom to be able to take a Throat Chop from that range, so I can just eat up my Wiki Berry, get some health back, and Volt Switch out, knocking out Scolipede. So Scolipede is down, Rotom is weakened, which is great because it leaves limited answers for him dealing with my Azumarill, which is what I go into right now. Now he goes into Mantine here, so I'm like, okay, I want to switch out of Azumarill because I don't want to get Scald Burn potentially, so I go into my Ditto as sort of a pivot because I have copied his Water Absorb basically, so he can go for Scald, but it's not going to do anything to me. I'm going to double out here into my Rotom. I think if he wanted to make a really good play, he could have double Scalded maybe, but he went for the Protect here as, I mean, I couldn't have done anything to him anyways, but I switched out to Rotom here so I could scare him out. Volt Switch is out here, so I Volt Switch out here as he actually sacks off his own Rotom, and that's great because now we got rid of Scolipede, we got rid of Rotom. He has very limited ways of dealing with Azu now, and he's forced to go into his Mega Garchomp. Now, because I want this thing to still remain an answer to Chandelure, I switch out here because I don't want Azu taking any kind of prior damage from that Garchomp. I don't want him to try to end game with Chandelure. So I switch out here into my Rotom to sack this Pokemon off here as he goes for the Iron Head. I expected maybe an Earthquake or something, but Iron Head I guess kind of works too in terms of trying to get a little bit of initial damage on the Rotom. But he switches out here into his Girder. I was a little confused about that because I'm not choice locked. He saw my Berry or whatnot. If he had Dragon Claw, he could have knocked me out, but maybe he doesn't have it. But I go here for the Will-O-Wisp as he goes into Girder, which is another fine play. He gets this Girder Guts boosted now. But I'm just going to stay in and fire off some Hexes. My plan was to sack Rotom anyways because I didn't really need it anymore. I don't see any kind of hazards on my side, so I'm not too worried. So he's going to bulk up here as I go right for the Hex once again. And that's actually really fine because of the fact that this Girder is just going to get super weakened, right? This Girder is getting super weakened. I mean, he knocks me off with a knockoff. It's fine because it does definitely ensure that he can't really do anything with it anymore. I'm going to be able to go into Victini to knock him out with the Psychic and get rid of this Pokemon here. So Girder's out of the way, which means that I can really sort of see the end game from this point in time, I feel. So I'm going to switch out here out of Victini into my Azu. I do have Azu specifically to deal with any kind of Chandelure set, especially Choice Scarfed. He's gonna go for the Shadow Ball, right? And so he gets a Spadef drop. I'm like, okay, fine. I know I can live another hit as long as I don't get crit. He's gonna go for another Shadow Ball here. Get another Spadef drop, but that's fine because I am able to live. I just hit what's in front of me, knock out the Chandelure in one hit, and it does reveal that it is Choice Scarf because we knocked it off. And I kind of expected that to make an appearance because Choice Scarf Chandelure, it's a really good mon versus my team. So I'm just going to Aqua Jet here, just get a little bit of chip damage. I just need as much chip on this thing as I can. Seeing the damage from that Aqua Jet leads me to believe that he does have some kind of bulk in terms of either HP or defense or something, but like this Garchomp is definitely a little bulky because it would have done a bit more if it was just max attack, max speed or something. But he switches out here into Mantine as I go into my Drapion to try to weaken it a little bit more. Basically my end game with either Victini or Ditto can kind of guarantee me the win because Ditto is faster than everything else he has on his team, and Victini can OHKO, potentially OHKO both of those mons, so that's going to be really crucial. So what I'm going to do right now, so I knock off the Mantine and I get rid of its item, go for the Poison Jab here to ensure that it's weakened enough to a point where Victini can pick it off. He just repeatedly went for like Scalds there, so he didn't have, I guess he didn't have Roost or anything, or he didn't want to go for it, but Victini gets to come in here, click Psychic to knock out the Mantine, get rid of this Pokemon here, and the last Pokemon is going to be that Mega Garchomp. And that's fine either way because supposedly if Victini doesn't knock it out, then my Choice Scarf Ditto can. So I'm going to Glaciate here. Glaciate should knock it out from this range. However, he does live on like just a sliver, either like a couple HP points. He was able to live. So I don't know how much bulk he had, but he definitely had some bulk, because that Victini should have been able to knock it out from that range if he wasn't like no bulk or something. But either way, we get to go into Scarf Ditto, which is guaranteed to be faster than this Garchomp. And it's going to be able to transform into that, and I can just go for the stunt move here, the Aerial Ace. I figured I'd just click that because I know it has a pretty cool animation, and knock out the Garchomp on his side. And that's going to be GG, it is Emvee. So, really cool game overall. It was a pretty close game at that, but I sort of played it in a way where I would, I guess, sort of have the path that I could win the game 100% of the time if I didn't get hacks or anything like that. I didn't struggle too much in this game. I didn't feel too uncomfortable with my plays or anything like that. I sort of like made the correct sacks, I feel, and just sort of led the path that would allow me to have the win cons that could just win me the game in the end, which is why it was so close. My team is just really offensive, I think, in general. But either way, you know, he played a really good game. He brought some cool stuff as well, and yeah, I think we just played it pretty optimally, I feel, and that's gonna be that. So of course, GG to Elliot. Be sure to check him out. Great friend of mine, and I think he's going to be doing it live com, so I'll be watching that as well. Thank you everybody for watching. I hope you all enjoyed this game. Let me know what you guys think, of course. And yeah, it's going to be week 11, so we're currently 10-1 right now. 2 more weeks in the season before playoffs, so hopefully we can finish off strongly with the last 2 games and try not to drop any more. I guess sort of my goal is to try to finish in the first place of this division, just so that I can try to get the bye week, because that'd be kind of nice. Watch the other people kind of clean off some of the bottom of the ladder, or maybe like, I guess, some of the bottom people trying to take out the top people, and just kind of watch from that kind of point of view. That'd be kind of cool if that could happen. But I'm like sort of in the run with Gator right now. Like Gator and we're both I don't know if he won his last week, but we're both like sort of in the race trying to get that trying to get the throne for this division. So I'm gonna try to do that, but it just comes down, I think, to differential. Probably whoever has more differential, because we're both winning consistently, that's for sure. But we'll see how that goes. But either way, I'll see you guys on the next video, and yeah, peace.